Chapter 68, Granolah The Survivor. Now, normally I would cover my reaction to this on my podcast, Dragon Ball Super Dope. We release new episodes every Wednesday, so given the fact that the chapter dropped today is Wednesday, the timing didn't work out so well. So I thought I would make a quick YouTube video to break down some of the cool stuff we saw in this chapter. I'm very excited about it, so let's just jump into things. As we saw in the drafts from last week, Granolah has a recurring nightmare about the destruction or extinction of his people on planet Cereal at the hands of the Saiyans. Now, one of the most notable things discussed last week was the fact that we do see an Ozaru with a X mark on one of its cheeks. A lot of people wondered if this could be hinting that Bardock was the person who destroyed Granolah's planet. We didn't really get any follow-up thought on that now that the full chapter has been released, but we do know that Granolah has this recurring nightmare of, his planet just being destroyed by the Saiyans. We also learned that he is very well aware of who Frieza is, and that Frieza would have been the person to order the destruction of his people. So it doesn't take long for him to let the audience know that he would like nothing more than revenge on Frieza and the Saiyans. Meanwhile, we cut over to Goku and Whis training on Beerus' planet. They're doing this thing with the Oracle Fish. I guess the Oracle Fish has an insomnia problem, so Goku has to help inject some stuff to get him to sleep. And Whis does tell us that whenever the Oracle Fish is unable to sleep, it's typically indicative of a bad omen, though sometimes it means nothing. Now that the Oracle Fish is able to go back to sleep, Goku and Whis resume their training, and Goku very willingly taps into that Ultra Instinct. Still, no match for Whis. We do see Goku do a very cool Zanzuken split form, and utilize Ultra Instinct. I think it's like 6 Gokus versus 1 at one point. It's a very cool sequence. And Vegeta and Beerus are just kind of observing casually, but also kind of begrudgingly. Vegeta also asks Beerus if Whis is using Ultra Instinct to fight against Goku, at which point Beerus lets him know the angels are always in a form of instinct. Building off of what we just learned about the angels, Whis and Goku are having a conversation during their battle, wherein Whis lets Goku know he's more capable and more efficient with Ultra Instinct than Beerus was. In turn, the Grand Priest is going to be more powerful and more effective with Ultra Instinct than Whis is. So there's always going to be a next level to ascend to for Goku, even though he's achieved this, form of gods, or a form that gods typically, train to try to or aim to use. There's always going to be somebody who is more powerful above him for the foreseeable future up through the Grand Priest. Thought that was a nice, interesting little wrinkle in there. Goku's always going to have another level to try to ascend to, even though he's at this ridiculous level already. Back to the Vegeta and Beerus conversation. Beerus asks Vegeta if he's going to try to learn to master Ultra Instinct as well. Vegeta says no, he's going to find another way to surpass Kakarot. That's when Beerus lets him know that Ultra Instinct is not the only technique of gods. It's one that is known as the angels' specialty. And that's when Beerus asks the question, did you really think the gods of destruction would run around using a move where you gotta keep your heart all calm and tranquil? Valid question, Beerus. Vegeta asks Beerus to train him, but Beerus says, I'm not really much of a teacher. I am going to go warm up over there, though. If you want to come, check it out. So this is kind of an interesting development. Vegeta and Beerus having a similar type of relationship to the one that Whis and Goku have had to this point. Potentially, anyway. I mean, Beerus is, seems to be kind of sly in how he intends to train Vegeta, insisting that he's not going to train him at all. But would Beerus have invited him over if he didn't want Vegeta to, learn something new? So interesting development here. I'm very eager to see where this goes. I have to say, a lot of things got me excited in this chapter this month, but this is probably the thing that got me the most excited and intrigued, being a big Vegeta fanboy. Next up, we catch back up with Granolah, who is delivering the OG 7-3, the remainder of it anyway, who is still slowly regenerating, to the person who put out the bounty for him. So As I think a lot of people sort of suspected, Granolah is in fact a bounty hunter, and he is bringing back OG-73 to somebody named Alec, which I assume is short for Electric. There's a couple of other people in his gang, Gas, Maki. I don't think I wrote them all down. Anyway, Granolah's a bounty hunter, bumps into one of his old bounty hunting friends, Sushiru, I believe is how we're supposed to say that name, out front. I only mention that because we're going to see him in a little bit. He makes his way inside, asks Alec if he intends to use 7-3 to build an army, much like King Gyochi, I believe was his name, from last month, was attempting to do with the 7-3 technology. Alec tells him no and says, in this new universe, in this new galaxy, intel is key to everything. And the intel that 7-3 has is some of the most valuable intel of all. It's at this point Alec pays Granolah, and Granolah asks for the next assignment, at which point Alec says, we're kind of in like a holding pattern. We're not really doing stuff right now. No new jobs, because Frieza is back. And Granolah, being again aware of who Frieza is and aware of the fact that the Saiyans destroyed his planet and Frieza ordered them to do it, him learning that Frieza is still alive or has been revived sends him into a fury. He suddenly becomes a hothead and wants to know immediately where Frieza is so he can go get his revenge. Alec tells him to calm down and that he should wait. We're basically going to regroup, get some intel, and then we'll let you know where to go next. Stick by your phone, basically. Granolah leaves, and Alec remarks to his gang that Granolah has become exponentially stronger and cocky, and has always been a bit of hothead. He thinks that now that he's told him that Frieza has been revived and hasn't given him any firm direction on what to do next in terms of a job or where to go to find Frieza, he'll seek him out himself. Alec's hope is that once Granolah finds Frieza, Frieza will take care of Granolah for him. So this is kind of interesting. We have Goku and Vegeta, we have Granolah, we have Frieza, and now we have Alec. We have like 4 different teams going here at any one given time. And given Granolah's conflict with all 3 of them, I'm very interested to see which side of the equation he ends up on. Doesn't seem like he'll work with Frieza. Doesn't seem like he's going to be working with Alec, at least not genuinely. Maybe he'll continue to work with him to be able to double cross him at some point in the future. But I think the most likely people for him to work with at first would be somehow Goku and Vegeta. At which point, how long does it take for him to realize that they're Saiyans? Probably not long, because, they have a billion different forms that all start with the words Super Saiyan. So we'll see what happens and what the ultimate reaction is and when that comes in the story. Before we leave Alec, it is revealed that the intel that he wants in OG-73I is the location of Zuno, the ultimate intel broker. For those who don't remember Zuno, he's somebody that we've seen twice in Dragon Ball Super. The first time, I believe it's Jocko and Bulma go to visit him to get some information about the Super Dragon Balls. And then we see him again briefly in the Future Trunks saga when Zamasu goes to seek out where the Super Dragon Balls are, basically, and how to use them. So with him being able to answer basically anything about anything within the Universe 7, I guess it would make sense that Alec, being so motivated by intel, would want to ask Zuno questions. I guess my question is what is Alec looking to learn from Zuno? It has to be something specific. You don't just go to Zuno for no good reason, unless it's to learn about the Super Dragon Balls. Pretty good reason, though. Yeah. As Granolah leaves the planet to return to Planet Cereal, he is talking with his, I guess, partner, Oatmeal. Still, again, you've yet to see what Oatmeal looks like. We've only heard from Oatmeal off screen, but as he is leaving, he's flying a ship away from the planet, back toward Planet Cereal, and the bounty hunter, quote-unquote, friend, Sushiro, that he saw outside of Alec's palace, shoots at Granolah's spaceship. And he's also brought a couple of friends with him. Sushiro and his friends are going to rob Granolah because they are well aware that he just made a lot of money for the bounty for OG-73. So they're going to rob him because he was unwilling to split the bounty back on the planet when they just bumped into each other. Granolah lands his ship on an asteroid nearby, opens up his ship, lures them in, says, "Hey, I'm up here in the cockpit. Yeah, come on up. We'll just split it. We'll all walk away alive. It's cool. It's cool." Sushiro and his friends walk into the cockpit. You see the eyepiece that Granolah has had on is strapped to the back of the chair, and Granola's voice is coming through the eyepiece, basically saying, "Haha, fooled you." And then suddenly he strikes them all from afar outside of the cockpit with a stun gun. He snipes them, essentially. I guess everyone was under the impression that that eyepiece was the thing that allowed him to snipe things so accurately, but they do make it a point to let us know that the Cerealians, interesting name for that race, I kind of like it, but it's also kind of funny. The Cerealians are naturally gifted snipers, and their right eyes, I believe, right eye, yeah. Their right eyes are make them, naturally lethal, and they can see things from afar. Having just stunned everybody, Granolah gives them the warning that the next shot won't be a stun gun and it will pierce their heart, so get the hell out of here. Soshiro leaves a little bit of money on the cockpit seat and runs away. Granolah gets back in his ship. Oatmeal chimes in and says, "Hey, nice shooting." Granolah says, "No, I actually missed one of the people in there." And that's the thing that makes him realize that he still is not strong enough to fight Frieza. Alec did let him know, how much more powerful Frieza had become somehow since being revived. And Granolah is convinced that if he is going to try to get his revenge on Frieza, he needs to become stronger in order to do it. Which I think opens up the question, how does he intend to do that? What does planet Cereal look like when he gets back? Who are the people who inhabit it? Are there other Cerealians? Because I thought he was the survivor. A lot of people have drawn comparisons to how the Sifurians or the Tuffles were set up in Dragon Ball GT and using Baby as the tech to be able to fight back and get their revenge on the Saiyans. Similar kind of circumstances, a race, done dirty by the Saiyans in the form of the Cerealians, and they're going to, hopefully, I would imagine, at some point will probably use the tech in OG-7-3, who, doesn't possess people like Baby did with Vegeta, Gohan, Goten. That's definitely one of the highlights of GT for me, but we probably won't see something like that. But with 7-3 being able to absorb people's powers, I guess they'll have access to pretty much everything they could need to know. And depending on what Alec's ultimate motive is, what does he need to know from Zuno? Does he need to know the location of the Super Dragon Balls? If he does, what's his intentions with them? What does he want to wish for? Who's the real ultimate villain in this thing? I'm very interested to find out. Before the chapter wraps up, we do get a flashback over to Beerus's planet, and we see the Oracle Fish, who's now asleep in his bowl, having a bad dream. I assume a bad dream. I'm not really sure. But he says, Universe 7, balance shifting. Strongest warrior in the universe will soon rise up. So given we just saw Granolah make a vow to get stronger before he goes to try to defeat Frieza, maybe he's talking about Granolah. It could be that Vegeta is about to learn some new techniques from watching Beerus, and he could become the strongest warrior. That's not likely, I know. Could be Goku, but then again, that wouldn't really be a balance shift now, would it? Because he's like always the strongest guy. Or, I don't know if Alec is, much of a warrior. He does make reference to Gas being the true power in their group. And, if Granolah were to ever get stronger than Gas, which I think is hilarious, Granolah stronger than Gas, we'd be in real trouble. So I don't think he's much of a warrior. Maybe that's what his intentions are if he were to get the Dragon Balls for a wish to become more powerful in terms of combat or immortal or whatever. It seems like he thinks money and resources are what makes the world go round, not so much military might like Frieza. So that's another interesting clashing of ideas right there. How in which two insanely evil dudes decide to go about building their empires respectively. Frieza's got that old school sort of build an empire and militaristic force kind of thing going for him. Alec seems to be all about, intelligence, reconnaissance, working smarter, not harder. So a lot of interesting things in this chapter 68, Granolah the Survivor. If you enjoyed this video, got to the end here, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. If you want to hear a more conversational take on this stuff, Dragon Ball Super Dope, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Links are in the show notes. I want to give a quick shout out to our patrons: Alex Summers, Reese Andriotis, Marcus Woods, Tyson Trujillo, David Shears, Kelly, Jacob Perez, John Claude Minivan Dan, Timmy Jones, Brian Altiori, and Lil Baby Jiren. And I will talk with you soon.